of the Republic of Cyprus is on a state visit to India, May 20 to 23, which is his first visit to India in his capacity as the President of Cyprus. The visit of the President is taking place, a Cypriot President is taking place after a period of 9 years, as the last visit was in 2017. Okay. The Honorable President is accompanied by a high-level delegation comprising the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Transport, Communications and Works, Deputy Minister to the President, Deputy Minister of Research, Innovation and Digital Policy, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, and an official delegation, as well as a 60-member strong business delegation. This visit is especially important as it is taking place during the presidency of the Council of European Union, which Cyprus now holds. Honorable President arrived in India on May 20 in Mumbai. He addressed the India-Cyprus Business Forum and a roundtable discussion with the CEOs of leading companies of both the countries. He participated in the inauguration of the Eurobank's representative office in Mumbai and also visited the National Stock Exchange. Cyprus announced the opening of a trade office in Mumbai. He also attended an event to announce the shooting of an Indian Bollywood movie in Cyprus. Honorable President paid homage to the victims of the terrorism at the memorial site of the 26/11 terrorist attack at the Taj Palace Hotel in Mumbai. A British Cypriot national was among those killed in the terrorist attack at that time. Cyprus has consistently supported India in the fight against cross-border terrorism. I will cover it in details a little later today. President arrived in New Delhi last evening. Our External Affairs Minister called on him today morning and had discussions on bilateral relations, strengthening engagement within the India-EU framework, and exchanged views on regional and global developments. The President will meet Honorable Rashtrapati in the evening today, who will also host a state banquet in his honor at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Honorable Prime Minister Modi and President of Cyprus held wide-ranging discussions in the meeting at Hyderabad House today. Discussions focused on enhancing cooperation in trade and investment, defense, maritime security, financial connectivity, technology and innovation, mobility, education, culture, and India-EU engagement. They also exchanged perspectives on regional and global issues of concern. Both leaders reiterated their commitment to combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. This visit is an important milestone in India-Cyprus relations, as the two leaders have decided to elevate the bilateral relations to the level of strategic partnership. Following the talks, both sides exchanged various government-to-government MOUs and agreements signed during the visit. I would like to just touch upon the MOUs agreements signed. An MOU on establishing a joint working group on counterterrorism. An MOU in the field of diplomatic training between the Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Service and the Diplomatic Academy of Cyprus. An MOU on cooperation in the field of higher education and research. An MOU on cultural collaboration and cooperation. MOU on innovation and technology. This is signed between the Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digital Policy of the Republic of Cyprus and our MEA Ministry. Technical arrangement for the establishment of official coordination and cooperation in search and rescue SAR matters. Again, an important MOU. I would also touch upon some of the important announcements that were made today. One, establishment of a cyber security dialogue. Establishment of a consular dialogue. Roadmap for bilateral defense cooperation for the period 2026-2031. Cyprus joining the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative and co-chairing the pillar trade, connectivity, and maritime transport. Then, also celebrating India Cyprus Space Day in May 2026. Cypriot side announced the intention to open a Cyprus Trade Center. I have already covered that. A joint statement will also be issued, which will set out the directions for the future strategic partnership which we have entered into today. India and Cyprus share a very close and time-tested relationship. The two countries will mark 65 years of establishment of diplomatic relationship in 2027, which will be commemorated with various activities in both the countries. Our ties are anchored in shared democratic values, respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, and close cooperation in multilateral fora. Since Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi's historic visit to Cyprus in June last year, there has been a sustained momentum in our bilateral ties under the framework of the India-Cyprus Joint Action Plan 2025-2029 released during the visit. Foreign Minister of Cyprus visited India in October last year, and a parliamentary delegation led by the President of the Parliament of Cyprus visited India in November last year. Economic cooperation has been an important element of our relationship, which is reiterated in this visit, and with the target set for further enhancing our economic cooperation. Cyprus is the 9th largest source of FDI inflows to India and the second largest in EU after Netherlands, with a cumulative FDI inflow of around US dollars 16 billion during the last since 2000. Investment from Cyprus are in sectors such as services, computer software and hardware, automobile, manufacturing, cargo handling, construction, shipping, and pharma areas. Defense and maritime has emerged as a very important pillar in our engagement, which was reiterated today in the meetings. Bilateral Defense Cooperation Program 2026 was signed in Nicosia and provides a structured framework for furthering our defense partnership. There have been port calls by ships. The India-EU Defense and Security Partnership signed in January 26 also provides a wider framework for Indian defense companies to engage with EU-based partners. A roadmap for bilateral defense cooperation between the Ministries of Defense of the two countries for the period 2026-31 has been concluded, which I mentioned. Another important area of cooperation is in financial connectivity, which is gaining traction. The MOU between NSE, National Stock Exchange, and International Exchange at Gift City and the Cyprus Stock Exchange provides a framework for capital market cooperation. Recently, Cyprus-based financial services firm Ilinas Finance Public Company Limited has become the first overseas company to list its equity on the NSE International Exchange at Gift City. Technology, innovation, AI, and space are also important areas on which discussions were held today. Substantial collaborations exist, including on cyber resilience, capacity building, and secure digital ecosystems. And we will see progress in coming days. One of the important elements, the UPI, will be operational in Cyprus from next year, which is very important. Indian community in Cyprus is around 16,000, including 5,000 Indian students. And they are a very valuable bridge between the two countries. As I mentioned, we have decided to establish a consular dialogue between the two countries, which would help address the welfare of this community and also the students. Besides, we have agreed to work on a mobility partnership and a social security agreement in coming months, which would also be finalized. I think what I have left out was the some of the MOU signed between the business to business MOUs, which are also very important. Let me touch upon the Institute of Chartered Accountants have signed an MOU with their counterpart organization in Cyprus, which is very important. Another important MOU business to business is the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers Group Association in India with the Cyprus Defense and Space Industry Cluster in Cyprus, which is again very important. We are now seeing that the defense engagement is taking shape, including with the business partnership. Chamber of Commerce of Industry of Cyprus with the FICCI, the Invest Cyprus, again another MOU with the FICCI, another MOU with the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry with our CII, then IGC Business and Investment Council again with the FICCI. India, Greece, Cyprus Business and Investment Council, IBC. Yeah, India, okay, India, Greece, Cyprus Business Investment Council, that is the IGC which I was referring to. A joint task force for cooperation in key sectors such as infrastructure, shipping, etc. are being also has been agreed to, which would meet very shortly. I think I leave it that, and we'll be very happy to take questions. Thank you.
We'll start here with Siddhant.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from WION. We saw both the leaders, Prime Minister Modi and Cyprus President, talking about the IMEC. What kind of conversations there was when it comes to IMEC, given the fact that Cyprus is seen as key element of the entire connectivity project?
Keshav.
Thank you, Secretary. Keshav Padmanabhan from The Print. I just wanted a little more information, if you can share, on the defense roadmap for the next 5 years, and on the larger agreement that was announced in Nicosia last year. What are sort of the aspects? The roadmap, is it only the roadmap, or is the roadmap but one of other areas? And what are the other areas that are under discussion? Thank you.
Neeraj.
सर, नीरज न्यूज 18 इंडिया से हमारा सवाल यह है कि काउंटर टेररिज्म को लेकर जो समझौते पर हस्ताक्षर हुआ है, उससे भारत की जो लड़ाई है आतंकवाद के खिलाफ, उसमें कितनी मदद मिलेगी?
नीरज.
सर नमस्कार, मैं नीरज दुबे, प्रभा साक्षी से. सर, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने संप्रभुता और क्षेत्रीय अखंडता पर जोर दिया. क्या यह बयान अप्रत्यक्ष रूप से तुर्की साइरस विवाद से जुड़ा संदेश माना जाए? और जैसा कि अभी पूछा गया एक प्रश्न आईमैक के बारे में, तो इसमें साइप्रस की संभावित भूमिका क्या रहेगी?
अभिमन्यु.
Sir, Abhimanyu Sharma from CNBC TV 18. Sir, was EUDR and CBAM also discussed? Because the Cyprus president is also heading the European Council. So were these issues also discussed as part of the meeting, as part of India's concerns?
CBAM and?
EUDR.
EUDR is what?
Sir, the EU deforestation regulation.
Okay. Sir, we can take these questions and come back for more.
Thank you, Randir. Thank you very much. Let me go one by one, starting with IMEC. It was discussed. IMEC is a very important project for us. Both leaders recognize that it has transformational potential in reshaping and promoting global trade, connectivity, and prosperity. They reiterated their shared commitment to promoting stability in the Eastern Mediterranean and the wider Middle East, and emphasized the importance of fostering deeper engagement and corridors of interconnection from India through the wider Middle East to Europe. They discussed the establishment of a bilateral connectivity dialogue. So connectivity is a very important aspect of our engagement with the European Union, engagement with Cyprus, engagement with the countries in the region. So IMEC was discussed in this context, and it's important to note that we have set up a bilateral connectivity dialogue in that regard. So discussions will continue. Now moving on to defense cooperation. Yes, I have mentioned about defense cooperation in the engagement. Yeah, no, I'm just taking out the roadmap. Yeah, let me then come to just take out the roadmap and then come back to that question. But let me now focus on the counterterrorism question which you have raised. Uh, you know, which was a very important area of discussion during the meetings. Both leaders categorically and unequivocally condemned terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including cross-border terrorism. Cyprus expressed solidarity and its unwavering support to India in its fight against cross-border terrorism. The two leaders strongly condemned the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir last year and the terror incident near the Red Fort. They emphasized that those responsible for the attack should be held accountable, which is very important. Both leaders called for decisive and concerted international efforts to combat terrorism in a comprehensive and sustained manner and in accordance with international law. Emphasizing the need for a comprehensive, coordinated, and sustained approach to combating terrorism across borders, they underlined and underscored the importance of working collaboratively, both bilaterally and within the multilateral system. In this context, the leaders called for strengthening multilateral efforts to combat terrorism and the expeditious finalization and adoption of the Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism within the UN framework. They urged for strong and concerted action against all UN and EU designated terrorists and terrorist entities, including those under UN Sanctions Committee, their associated proxy groups, facilitators, sponsors, financiers, and backers. They underlined the need for cooperation to counter violent extremism and radicalization, financing of terrorism and money laundering, as well as to prevent exploitation of new and emerging technologies for terrorist purposes and to tackle terrorist recruitment. Both sides also called for eliminating terrorist safe havens and infrastructure, as well as disrupting terrorist networks and combating financing of terrorism at the UN and the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. They reiterated their zero tolerance and approach to terrorism, rejecting double standards, state-sponsored terrorism, and any justification for such acts under any circumstances. And it is in this context you should need to look at the joint working group of counterterrorism that was set up, which will provide a framework to enhance bilateral cooperation in counterterrorism through information and knowledge sharing and capacity building, agreed to hold the first meeting of the JWG as early as possible. Now let me, you raised the issue regarding Cyprus and Turkey territorial integrity. See, let me put it like this. The visit of the President of Cyprus reflects the deepening partnership of India and Cyprus based on shared values and interests in bilateral as well as regional and global issues. India continues to pursue an independent and balanced foreign policy and engages with partners across regions on the basis of mutual respect, shared interest, and international law. The visit of the President of Cyprus also showcases India's broader engagement with the Mediterranean region and its commitment to strengthening ties with the members of the European Union. Both sides support a dialogue, peaceful resolution of disputes, and a rule-based international order. This is, it is not, it should not be the visit, it's not an alliance against any particular country. Which one is that? Yeah. In February, as I said, we have signed the India-Cyprus Bilateral Cooperation Defense Program, and they have underscored the significance of the cooperation in the defense sector. And now we have also very importantly signed the uh, technical arrangement for establishment of the official coordination and cooperation of search rescue matters. So we leaders also welcome the conclusion of the roadmap for bilateral defense cooperation between ministries of defense of the two countries. Our High Commissioner will add a few points to
So
that.
the basis of our defense cooperation is a bilateral agreement which was signed in December 2022. You recall that EM had visited Cyprus then. So that is the basis of our defense engagement. And under it, first year in 2025, we signed the bilateral defense program. And then again in 2026. So there is a growing strengthening of defense cooperation. And in the context, as Secretary Sir said, in the context of India-EU Defense and Security Agreement, which was signed in January with EU in Delhi, that gives us Indian defense companies an opportunity to enter European Union partnership. Because European Union has $150 billion allocation under their program called SAFE program. And Cyprus has been allocated 1.5 billion. So once you are a signatory with EU, Indian companies can access EU market by partnering with EU companies. So this is one aspect. So and the private sector association, as Secretary mentioned, one of the highlights was the signing of agreement between defense industry clusters on both the countries. So this is a step towards entry of Indian companies in Cyprus for a larger EU market. So there are synergies between Indian companies, dual use or civilian use. So this is a important aspect for in the context of India-EU Defense and Security Agreement and Cyprus position, so that Indian defense sector, both private and public, can use that opportunity to enter into EU market.
Yeah, another important area is the maritime security connect. Both are maritime powers, and Cyprus has joined the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which is a very important forum that India, our Prime Minister's initiative, which is making significant progress. I would also like to touch upon the question regarding Cyprus. We have reiterated our unwavering and consistent support for the independent sovereignty and territorial integrity and unity of the Republic of Cyprus. Both sides emphasize the need for full respect of the relevant United Nations resolutions and international law so as to not to undermine efforts towards a negotiated peaceful solution in Cyprus. So there is a paragraph in the joint statement which we will be releasing very shortly. Overall, it has been a great visit. This visit would bring a new momentum to India-Cyprus relations, covering the entire spectrum of relationship, political engagement, business engagement, large investment partner, and then now the elements of defense and cyber security and fight against terrorism. You have seen it. So it brings in a new momentum to our relationship with Cyprus and also with European Union, as the President of Cyprus is currently the head of the European Council. So I thank you. Any more questions?
There was a question regarding CBAM and EU.
Okay. We haven't got into the details of the ongoing discussions with the EU on these matters. So, yeah.
Okay. We will have more questions from this side now. Raghavendra?
Yeah, this is Raghavendra Verma from ZDF German television. Sir, European Union's presidency with Cyprus, was the India-EU trade deal was discussed? There are worries. Yeah, the exporters say that they are worried that there's a delay in implementation of that, and their clients are holding orders because of hoping for the time when there is a duty-free import of. So has that deal been discussed? And is it at a political level the discussion is still holding, or is it just a procedural thing?
Mm-hmm. So I think we can take the Santosh.
सर संतोष नव भारत से। सर आपने बोला एजुकेशन के क्षेत्र में भी जो है साइप्रस के साथ टाइप्स की बात हुई है, तो ये सर क्या उनको उनके जो स्टूडेंट्स होंगे उनको हम यहाँ पे कुछ कोटा वगैरह देंगे, या हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज वहाँ खुलने वाली है, या उनके इंस्टीट्यूशंस दे आर कमिंग टू इंडिया टू एस्टैब्लिश देयर कैंपसेस? थैंक यू.
You have a question there?
So I'm Shubhendu from DD India. On the question of mobility, what are the opportunities for the skilled youth of India, particularly in Cyprus and through Cyprus in Europe?
Sir, we can take these questions.
Yeah. Thank you very much. On the India-EU FTA, which was concluded earlier this year, things are moving in the right direction, and it is work in progress. There is absolutely no delay in the process. So it's going as planned. And we thanked, Honorable Prime Minister thanked President of Cyprus for his role in facilitating the FTA, which was actually entered into during the chair of Cyprus as of the council. So he thanked him, and so things are moving in the right direction. We will see. We will keep you updated on how it is going. But the fact is that it is giving a great new momentum to engagement between the two businesses, which are already engaged very closely. You have seen that in the recent visits also, there has been huge interest by the business community in Europe towards engagement, deeper engagement with India and Indian businesses. So the framework is there, and now the businesses are working very closely to fully utilize this new framework to enhance the business engagement and investment engagement. So it's going in the right direction. Education and how is the relationship going on the education side? Yes, as I said, there are already 5,000 Indian students studying various disciplines, including medicine, in Cyprus. So the numbers are growing a positive trajectory in recent years. So it is in this context we have set up the consular dialogue, which would further help enhance that engagement. Also, we have invited Cyprus to work very closely at the student exchange level, faculty exchange level, and also explore the possibility of a university campus to be opened in the gift city. So there are discussions have started, and we will see. I will continue to update you as and when we see more progress in that direction. Coming to the mobility question, yes, this is we have around 16,000 Indians currently in Cyprus. The numbers are growing. We are in the final stages of discussions on a mobility partnership agreement, which would definitely help streamline the movement of our young, dynamic, particularly in the field of IT, the movement of our students to Cyprus and also to Europe. We are also working on a social security agreement, and another interesting thing is the seafarers training, which happens. So it's again a work in progress, a mobility partnership agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this press conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
तो आप देख रहे थे विदेश मंत्रालय की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस। साइप्रस के शीर्ष नेता